I mean, I don't know. Who do you want to talk about first, Matt Gaetz or Pete Hegseth?
I don't know a lot about Pete Hegseth. I know
Pete Hegseth is the Deus
You don't watch Fox News? You don't watch Fox and Friends?
No, it's on my net nanny. My mom won't let me.
Oh shit!
I have to rely on my friends telling me what happened on Fox.
I watch it on my tablet.
The only thing I know about him is he has that Deus Vult tattoo, and JD Vance was like, "This is ridiculous. Everyone's yelling at him for having a Christian tattoo," and it's like, that is a strategy games tattoo. No Christian guy said that before Crusader Kings came out. Like, fuck off. Like, no.
I don't think they were even saying it during the Crusades. And also, if you're the Secretary of Defense and okay, you're a Deus Vult guy and you're the Secretary of Defense, and then you have a Crusades tattoo. You have a Crusader slogan and Crusades tattoo. Is this a preview of how you're going to run your foreign policy? Because the Crusades were a big L for Christendom.
Well, they won a couple of them.
They were there
for a while.
I consider the Crusades like an issue campaign, like War in 2020. Maybe they didn't succeed beyond their wildest ambitions, but they got the issues out there and people were talking about them. And they also, most importantly, they took care of those disgusting Eastern Orthodox scum apostates.
I hate them.
It was also it was historically important for the rise of slavery, like the Atlantic slave trade, like the systems that they created when they were over there, because they had the first sugar plantations, and they would use like the native slave labor, and a lot of those mechanisms were brought to the New World.
It was also that was sort of the creation of international finance capital as well. The Knights Templar, they were the first.
Are there any Templars
bankers
in his cabinet? Are there going to be any Templars? That's what I want to know.
I mean, Pete Hegseth probably has a Templar's tattoo. I always think it's funny when based trad guys get Templar tattoos, because it's like, that is like, those were the Klaus Schwabs of, 1,000 years ago. Not 1,000 years ago, but very long.
Yeah, they were international bankers.
Yeah, they're international bankers. They're accused of basically doing Pizzagate with each other. That was one of the reasons, whatever King of France owed them a bunch of money and just responded by killing them. He basically said, "Hey, these guys have freak offs."
They basically became Jews. They were the Jews of Christians. They found a long way around to it, to be killed in the same way for the same reasons. Because the king owes you a bunch of money, and he's like, "Well, I don't want to pay him back. Why would I pay? I could just kill them all. I could just make some shit up and kill them all."
When they finally discovered the Temple of Solomon, there was 10,000 bottles of baby oil inside.
When you think about it, the being Jewish in the year 1200 is trad. That's the tradition you're returning to.
The other things about Pete Hegseth, despite other than being on Fox and Friends, is he's a Crusader guy. He settled a sexual assault lawsuit for an undisclosed sum and a non-disclosure agreement. And also he was instrumental in the pardoning of Eddie Gallagher, the serial killer Navy SEAL. I mean, I almost feel like having a weird sexual assault lawsuit where you paid someone $70,000, that's a requirement to be in leadership now.
Yeah, because you're going to have to do it again. You want people who already know how to do that.
It's not no one ever goes through that and is like, "Oh, okay, I've learned my lesson." They're like, "Oh, that's how you get out of this thing I love doing."
Yeah, just got to get a big stack of those NDA forms.
I also like that Pete Hegseth wrote a book called The War on Warriors.
Isn't that all wars?
Yeah.
Good point.
It's kind of in the
Has there ever been a war that's,
description.
I guess the war on drugs that's not on warriors? Maybe the book kind, like the Warriors, the book.
It's like a guy at Subway being like, "I'm so sick of dealing with bread all day."
He says, this is a quote from Pete Hegseth: "Our present moment is much like the 11th century. We don't want to fight, but like our fellow Christians 1,000 years ago, we must," he writes. "Arm yourself, metaphorically, intellectually, physically. Our fight is not with guns, yet."
They really love the Crusades, but they're not really into putting Christians in the Holy Land. Not that part. It's like Deus Vult in Hebrew. That's what the tattoo should be. Deus Vult for someone else. We need to bravely put someone else over there so they can do ways in SodaStream for the Christian God.
Mean again? What does it translate to? God something?
God wills it.
God wills it. But like the kingdoms of Christendom in the Middle Ages, like they didn't need to fight the Crusades. Like when he said like we have to fight like it's the 11th century. I mean like I guess they had to fight it because they needed something to do with all of the, people who didn't inherit land, like this, all the second sons and whatnot. So I guess it was like they needed to fight it in that regard. But so yeah, we have a Crusader king as Secretary of Defense. Some other highlights from Pete Hegseth's career. He also is a graduate of Princeton and Harvard. He claimed that he did not wash his hands for 10 years. He claimed in 2019 he hadn't washed his hands in a decade because germs are not a real thing. He cheated on his second wife with a Fox producer. And then it says here, Brian Settler's 2020 book, Hoax, Donald Trump, Fox News, and the Dangerous Distortion of Truth, recounts that the family values Christian Hegseth cheated on his then-wife, Jennifer Roche, a producer at Fox and Friends. Jennifer was favoring Pete with airtime, a network executive told Stetler. She kept putting Pete on TV. And he may not wash his hands, but he does sell soap. It says here, he has been the pitchman for the Grenade Soap Company's soap, which is indeed shaped like in the form of a throwable explosive, boasts a stainless steel rope, and has scents which include Gunsmoke, Gurkha, and Patriot, made with pine tar.
It smells like a Gurkha? Like, what
you don't get high in your own supply if you sell soap. If you don't use the soap, because then you'll get addicted to it. You'll end up just going through all the soap on your own. How many UTIs do you think he's given women?
Oh, God.
Like he probably gives them MRSA UTIs.
After he has sex with a woman, their piss probably looks like when you clean out a Keurig.
Yeah. It looks like cleaning gutters. It's all solids.
And the ad
just a
copy
big slug comes out of it. Sorry. Sorry, there must have been eggs in it. There must have been eggs under my fingernails. There were bug eggs. Sorry. I'm doing this hand washing thing where you do like no wash November. It's for the military.
I know it's gross now, but when I figure you in a year, I'll actually be killing the slugs in there because of all my antibodies.
Yeah, I'm gonna get like a nematode that only attacks those slugs to sort of normalize like it's sort of the way you guys normalize your pH. Like I normalize like the microbiota under my fingernails.
Yeah, in about a year, I'm going to have kudzu growing under my fingernails, and that is just it'll spring into your labia, and it will act as like a natural filtration system for all the frogs and toads that I put in there.
Oh, that sounds so nice. It's going to be like the rainforest.
Joe Biden will be walking into Pete Hegseth's asshole.